Hey everybody, it's Suzanne at Yada Creative Digital Marketing again. I am going to talk about a topic few marketers like to talk about, but I think it's important because it's been coming up in conversations, and it's all about money and how people's relationship with money is confused a little bit. So, I'm in the middle of I should say I've just started a 30-day marketing challenge, and Debbie, who is the co-host of a feminist podcast called Feminist Utopia, shout out to Debbie, and we were talking about, before she joined the challenge, just clarifying a couple of things, and it spurred another conversation about how do I get into business and make money enough to live off of, and also do it ethically. And especially with those of us who really care about equality and care about, making sure everybody's taken care of, it becomes a sticky situation. And what I was talking to her about is the difference between commerce and capitalism. And no matter how you feel about capitalism, here's how I kind of see it. Commerce itself has existed since human societies have existed. It's the trading of goods and services, either in barter or with currency, sometimes trading shells, sometimes trading money, sometimes trading services. That has been existent since human societies have existed. Capitalism is a much more recent invention. It's just a way to organize commerce. And capitalism is more of like a philosophy of like, well, who should own the production methods is private hands instead of public hands. And it gets, now I'm not an expert economist or anything like that, but it's important to know the difference between commerce, which is exchange of goods and services. Here's some money and you're doing the thing. I see you are a blacksmith and I am a grain farmer. Let's exchange something, right? That's commerce. Capitalism is making sure that all of that stuff is in the hands of private, you know what I'm saying, instead of it being controlled by the government. So there's like confusion around money, and especially guilt trips around money, because it becomes so inflated with the difference between capitalism and commerce. So it's like, okay, let's unleash that guilt trip. Because there's things that are baked into capitalism, like capitalism works for specific circumstances and for honestly specific people. It doesn't work for everybody, especially the worker, the little guys, the little girls, the little whatever, whoever. If a capitalist hires somebody for $10 and then makes $500 off of that labor, there's no that's perfectly fine in capitalism, but it's also ripe with the possibility of exploitation. And I think that's what people, especially us Americans, get money confused with capitalism, get currency confused with capitalism. If you're hiring somebody, cool, awesome. Are you going to exploit them? Please don't, right? So there's a whole other mess of things I could talk about, but I'm going to keep it at least simple for now. Again, I just wanted to address a bit of the guilt factor that people have around making money while still caring about equality. And it's this. Capitalism tends to value profit over everything. It's that survival of the fittest. Certain companies are legally required to value profit over everything. And that is a system that no longer works for a lot of people. It probably never has worked for a very lot of people. But there is something to commerce and exchange of goods and services and value exchange that there's no reason to have that guilt trip over. That and this also leads to another concept I probably will get into some future Facebook Lives around. If you care a lot about making the world a better place, if you care a lot about a world that works for everybody, if you care a lot about equality and making sure everybody gets theirs, if you care a lot about that equality stuff, the best way to help people who are suffering is to not be poor. Is to not be in that stage of suffering. Is to get yourself out of it and to think of all the checks you're going to write to charity once you get mega filthy stinking rich. Right? Now, are you going to get all of that currency, which the word currency has electricity. It's like an energy, right? Currency, electricity, energy, whatever it is, it could be used for good or evil. There's no reason to feel guilty about wanting money. There's no reason to feel guilty about wanting money. If it's in your control, then you can write as many charity checks as possible, and you can hire as many activists to work on causes you care about, and whatever it is. The irony is that because we do live in a capitalist society, we also have the freedom to start our businesses right here, right now, and just go for it. It's a freedom and a burden, which is the irony. So whatever you think about like capitalism in itself, I happen to believe it's it's the thing that we have. So we need to work either with it or through it or whatever, and make sure we're not sucked into the exploitation that it opens up, right? It's what we have. There is something better, and it's neither capitalism nor communism or social. I think there's a next level thing that's starting to emerge, but we don't have to feel guilty about it because commerce has existed forever, y'all. It's okay to want money, to want to give, to want to receive. That is totally okay, and we can separate that want with all the exploitation that money has been doing in the society. So I just wanted to pop on. Those are some very basic thoughts, but if I were to boil it down to this, like if we want a more equal economy, we can think better about how we run our businesses. We can make sure that we're not exploiting, and we can advocate for rules and regulations that make sure exploitation doesn't really happen. And you can also make money. You can also feed yourself and pay the rent and have ample to give away, to have ample to buy yourself something nice, for God's sakes. That's part of the commerce and the exchange of goods and services that have been around forever, y'all. Capitalism is pretty new, but commerce has been around forever, and it's a totally human experience to be in commerce, and it's a totally human experience to also want good things for yourself. And the best way to help the poor is to not be poor. So, that's my thoughts. Take them or leave them. Start a shit show in the comments. I don't even care. But I just wanted to pop on and say, because I know that a lot of my clients struggle with this. A lot of them. So, commerce over here. A perfectly fine, healthy human thing to be engaged in. Capitalism over here. Well, let's argue about the health of that in more detail. But that's what I wanted to say, and I hope you have a fabulous evening and thinking about commerce and capitalism, because that's what I do. You should do that too. I'll talk to you later.